If you recently got the brand new Eufy Make UV printer and then also the rotary attachment tool, this video is going to be for you. The reason for that is I actually found a huge flaw within the rotary attachment tool for the Eufy Make UV printer. But don't worry, I'm not just going to show you the flaw, I'm also going to show you ways to combat it so you don't waste money on blanks. This video is super important to watch before you do anything with your attachment tool with the Eufy Make UV printer, just because I don't want you to make a costly mistake. Let's head over to the printer so I can show you what's up. So when I did this cup with you, there is one thing that you should notice about this cup is that the actual design itself is pretty small. The reason for that is if I did it any larger, it would get cut off, and I'll show you another example. But from this side, it is completely center. And then if I turn this over to the left, it is also completely center, right? If we were to do another cup like this, which is kind of hard to see because this is a glass cup, so I have some styrofoam put in there. But if I hold this up, you're gonna notice that this design is actually moved over to the left a little bit, and we have about a fingertip width away that it needs to actually scoot over to the left. If we do this like this, you're going to notice that this needs to be moved over just a little bit. And also, because you can really tell, is when you hold it up just right, it's technically supposed to be center, and you can see that it's not. It's moved over just a little bit. You can see it from really right here. This right here needs to be moved over just a little bit, and then also right here, you can tell that it just needs to be moved over just a little bit. So the reason for that, it's not technically an issue with the actual UV printer. If you have a laser engraver or cutter and your laser engraver does not have a stagnant head, my F1 Ultra has a stagnant head where the laser beam comes down at like an angle here, and then your item, let's say, is right here, and the laser just shoots a beam straight down and the head never actually moves. Here's an example of exactly what I'm talking about. This is my Xtool F1, and the laser is engraving that little piece of metal that's right there, and the laser head is actually not moving at all. The beam is what's moving. With my P2S, my Xtool P2S, the actual laser head itself is on a bar and it moves back and forth to engrave. Here's an example of exactly what I was talking about. You can see that my laser arm is swinging back and forth, up and down to cut my actual piece of acrylic that I'm cutting with my Xtool P2. Your Eufy Make UV printer has that same type of print head where when you lay this in here, the print head goes back and forth printing your item, okay? Let's pretend that this is the laser head, okay? It is going to print, 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 but the problem is that head is actually really big, okay? So if we have that head and it's going back and forth, and it's fairly large, what happens is it will get stuck here, and then it'll knock your tumbler out of place, okay? This is the greatest example that I could come up with. So this is actually over my Xtool P2, but the concept is still the same. I'm engraving this little bowl, and you can see that it is engraving just fine. Like, it seems like it's going all right, and then it starts to move, and that's because the head is now moving back and forth on that curved surface, and it hit something. So it's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You only can go so far. Now, to combat that, if you didn't want to have something like this that's off-centered, what you could do is make your image smaller, just like I have done here. The other hack that other people are doing over in the laser side is taking off your handles of your tumbler if you actually have the ability to do that. So with this particular cup, there's no way to take the handle off. And then obviously with the glass, there's no way to take the handle off. Now, cups that are like this, unfortunately a size like this does not fit into the UV printer, but just to show you an example, these handles do come off. If you can take your handles off, then you can combat the issue with having to do a smaller design by just taking off the handle, because then what ends up happening is your laser head, you would have to take these off and then bend the things, but then your laser head would be able to pass through that, and so then you could do like a larger design, okay? Now, I have never done this method, so I had to go online to find a picture for you, but essentially what people are doing is they're taking the handle off and they're bending the little pegs that holds the handle. The reason why I have never done this is because I feel like that's going to mess up the
actual structure of the cup and make the cup handle weaker, which I'm not interested in doing that. But this is what other crafters are doing just so they can engrave larger cups with their lasers.
But unfortunately, because the laser head itself moves, it's always going to be mindful of your handle, because what you don't want is to go, it hit, because your laser head's never going to move, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a bad printed tumbler. Now the other option here is if you don't want to have a smaller design like this, the alternative is to just print a sticker. I did not print a sticker. I actually printed this directly onto the cup. But what you could do is print a UV DTF sticker and place that in the spot that you want. And they will hold up just the same as something like this. Now, the only difference here is that when you do a UV DTF sticker, the backs of your sticker will always be white. So here is a UV DTF sticker that I've already printed. And if I peel off the backing of this, to, let's say, put it onto one of my tumblers, you see how that is white? Not a bad look, okay? It's just different than if you were to do this. This was the CMYK white and then CMYK, best shown in here, where if we turn this around, you're gonna be able to see the geese on the inside. It's only, I mean, when it's filled up with something, you can't see it and you can't really tell. If you were doing a white tumbler like this, obviously doing a sticker would be perfect because you would never want a CMYK in white, okay? So doing a sticker versus actually printing on this is like the substitute, so you don't have to either sacrifice a smaller design or something that's not centered. The other thing, my husband actually suggested this, is what if you just did one design right here? And I'm like, well, traditionally when you have a coffee mug, you do it a two-sided design. So that's not something that I would ever do. My next go-to for this, because I'm going to create this again, is just to make the stickers and place them myself, just so I can have a perfectly centered logo in the size that I want. And that's how you can work around the rotary attachment issues. Now, if you found a different way to combat these types of issues that I have not already mentioned here today, let me know in the comments of this video, because crafting is all about learning from other people. Hope you found this video extremely helpful, and I'll see you on the next one.